Now we will examine the variation, which mainly I call this the whole setups started with b5 and bishop c5 and Ruy Lopez, b5 bishop b7, different type of setups. I call all this Archangel's variation, but of course there are different names on that, and even there is some dispute between specialists. There was very big apport of Irtaev, of Tkachiev into this line. They helped a lot of the development of these variations. Onyshuk also played some few special lines. Malanyuk played it with black. I mean, the line was developed, and many players they made their contribution to this opening. For me, I call it everything Archangelsk, but it's just a question of preferences. The main idea is, of course, to know exactly what to do with white against that. And this is not an easy task, because this is very popular opening, and in different times it has different variations which becomes popular. First we will examine not so important line after e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, bishop a4, knight f6, short castle. For example, if black starts without b5, he starts first with bishop c5, and on c3 he is playing just bishop a7. This is a tricky line, and sometimes, as we said in our first DVD on Ruy Lopez, sometimes black simply wants to confuse white player, just not to get into some not very important, not official, not main theory, to get out of this and to surprise. That's why we need to be ready for that. On bishop a7, d4 is the most natural and the best move. And if, for example, he takes now on e4, what we do? I think there is some good reactions. Queen e2 also it's a good move, but let's stick to rook e1. And on f5 we just clear the way for the rook by playing knight bd2. If he takes on d2, then we have intermediate move knight takes e5, and after short castle knight c6, dc, bishop d2, we have a clear advantage thanks to the fact that both bishops, black bishops, they have problems. We have an open file and even slightly better structure, pawn structure. On knight bd2, he can also play here b5, which is possible for white to take on e4, no problem, fe4 and rook e4. Sorry, knight e4. If they take fe4, then on knight e4 they go ba4, bishop g5, knight e7 and knight g3. The position is lost for black. The main move on knight bd2 can be and should be short castle. Then we take on e4 twice, and after d5 it's very important move here, bishop g5, after which we will take with tempo on e5. That was Kostic for Lani, 1938 in Ljubljana. Also on 8 rook e1, they can try here to play b5 now, but then the same, we take on e4, ba4 and de5, and if even not in rush to take the pawn, we play bishop g5 first, queen e8, and only now queen a4, pawn up, better position. Even black has two bishops, but this is not enough for their advantage. For example, on h6 we can go back bishop e3. One more move on d4 if he doesn't take on e4. For example, he's just playing safe queen e7. Then we take on c6, dc6, knight e5, and now sometimes black managed to create some counterplay by attacking these two central pawns, d4 and e4. An attempt of that is c5, then knight f3, back, bishop g4, e5, knight d7, h3, bishop f3, queen f3, cd4. This position is not so easy for white to play, but if we will go for all pawns, queen b6, short castle, queen c7, we definitely will be left with something in our pocket. So that at least should be a small advantage for white. But this queen e7 actually it's an interesting move. On 7 d4, the main move is considered short castle. Then we go for bishop g5, and now we get into another typical situation when we are preparing against h6 g5. The sacrifice on g5 is knight takes g5. If knight e7, then that was played by Balashov against Grishuk, then we just spoiled his structure with bishop f6, gf6, and on d5 knight g6, ef6, queen f6, knight d4.